Right, welcome back to the channel. Now, Steve is going to give me a bunker lesson because I feel like I need a bit of help in this area. I'm not very confident, as you would, as you would have maybe guessed with the short game.
You're a bit one-dimensional, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got.
I'd say I'm completely one-dimensional. I don't play much around with different trajectories.
Yeah.
I'm not too clued up on how to play different conditions in terms of dampness of sand or different particles.
Sort of different options. With
so yeah, we got a few options. We're going to film this interaction, this lesson, more like a fly on the wall, like the way TaylorMade do it with their pros, as opposed to giving you the one size fits all thing that you get a lot of on YouTube coaching. So it's just going to be Steve giving me a lesson. So I hope you enjoy it. And now I'm not going to talk to you anymore, so you just sit there. Right, so
do you want to go off the fluffier stuff? Should we fluff that up?
Yeah, let's start with the nice, forgiving stuff.
So what? Right, if you're say a standard length bunker shot, this front left, pretty standard.
Just this one here, yeah? Yeah. Right, so I'll just play a few, yeah. It's fine. Got away with strike. It's not.
Like I would feel this sounds quite forgiving
because it's
like the sound and stuff. It feels
it's fairly firm. Yeah.
It's like your low point doesn't have to be that good.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of room for error.
I'll tell you where I struggle massively. You know that really soft sand that's quite deep. Courses leave it where it's just packed.
Let's just fluff up.
That is what I'll struggle with, just because I feel like I don't really use the bounce. The face gets a bit shut. And then it gets very diggy, and I have to use a lot of speed.
Yeah.
And then it's just an absolute show.
Right, there's a little bit fluffy.
Right, so we got now. Yeah, it's a bit more fluff. I would give it a bit more in a minute, but
what would you change for as the sand changes, or?
Well, the one thing that I try and do it, if it gets a bit like fluffy, deep and soft and like scary as a result, I just try and feel like I just get the club face a bit more open on the backswing, add a bit more speed, and then try and sort of like almost get away with it that way rather than thinking about like trajectory, outcome and all that stuff. So this is what I would do. That one's come out pretty nice.
What would you? So we'll let a few off the softer stuff and then go back to the more compact stuff. But what would you like to be able to do flight-wise? Like, what do you think would improve your bunker play with the sand we've got here?
Yeah.
Like changing distances, or if you've got because again, this scenario, if you can stand here and belt.
The problem is
15 balls to that flag, brilliant. You're good at that one shot.
Yeah.
But then
the thing I'd struggle with,
if it's softer, if it's...
The thing I'd struggle with is...
You've got to create different
if I was trying to
practice.
Hit to that back pin,
right,
and get one going out slightly lower and more releasey, but from a lie where there's a load of sand and it's really soft, because that would scare the shit out of me, because it's quite easy. It was easier to play this one where it's fluffy and I get the face open. Yeah, 58, because I can add speed and I can get the face open and just sort of like just gouge the thing.
So you rely on upping your speed, not improving strike.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense to get the ball to go further, and
because I know that because my speed's up, as long as I get the face enough open, it's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
And I know that's where we go now.
I'll try a few. We go to the middle pin, but try and vary some flights. So try and call.
What off this lie?
Like, we go off where it's more consistent, where we got the firmer stuff. So we got more room there. So like if you're practicing, because a lot of it is, you probably come and just practice. You practice the things you almost want to get rid of, where it's like, I'm just going to splash it close to that flag. Then working through flights, trajectories that enable you when you go from course to course and there's no sand to a lot of sand, like learning how to play the different shots, especially at like your level where you are playing different courses every week. Yeah. And like, you might just get one practice round, a couple of bunker shots, and you've got to figure out all out the same.
Yeah, I must admit that's one thing the sand, especially if I'm playing West Region PGA events, sometimes, quite a lot of the times, the bunkers will be like a bit of a shit show, and they'll vary a lot. They'll be like hard to compact, and the next day you'll get there and it'll be soft, fluffy.
Yeah. But that's what
and
I'm
then
saying. A lot of lads, people say the bunkers are, but I'm like, well, you probably just don't have the options to deal with the bunkers you're playing at.
Yeah, that's probably
as long as there's sand in there. I'm like, well, you should be able to play a half decent shot.
Yeah.
When lads are leaving it in there or blading it,
and then moaning,
I'm like, well, that's your fault, not the bunker's fault. If that makes sense. Everyone blames the bunker, but it's almost not having the tools to deal with the shot you're
100% guilty of that. Yeah.
Right, and we're fired to the middle flag. Where we've got
middle one,
20 yards.
Right, playing a basic one.
So if you went to hit a stock standard.
Okay.
Where would you try and land a stock standard shot?
Stock standard one, I'm trying to land.
Build the process of.
Right, so I'm trying to land this because it's going to be fairly lofted.
Because then you've got the basis of good or bad shot.
Around like 4 foot short, 4 foot left.
Okay.
Because I know it's going to spin maybe a tiny bit right, but also it's going to go on the bank and it's going to jump forward a tiny bit first. That's actually perfect.
That's very nice. So right, and then if we tried to play it lower, and I'm not saying you would play it lower at the sand, but I'm saying if the sand's super compact, like your shot won't work. If the sand's super fluffy, having the options,
right? So
to use your practice to build your toolbox.
Yeah, not really, to be honest.
Yeah, you would just say the bunker's crap.
Yeah, I'd be one of those twice. From this scenario, if I'm just trying to play this low, I would play the same sort of shot, feeling wise, but just go down to 53.
Okay. But then, if we're in the scenario where there's not much sand, you're going to open up your 53. You're going to have more banks. So I don't think you'd play the 53 if there wasn't much sand.
No.
So you're changing club, not creating a bigger toolbox. Whereas I want you to stay with your lob wedge.
Okay.
Because that's the easy option for this shot. But we're trying to replicate.
Well, and I thought you were just asking me play a lower one, and that's what we'll do.
No, I meant with setup and.
Okay. I've not delved into this at all.
Right.
It's so basic.
So I'm not saying you want to hit a lower one or a higher one.
But how would you?
I'm just saying when you're practicing to try and I'm going to improve for when you play the Prime next week and the bunkers are rock hard because it's been hammering down.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to learn how to play it? How am I going to learn how to play it if you play at Burnham and there's links, light, fluffy sand and all variations of things where you need to get a bit creative to, this technique can marry up better with those conditions and vice versa.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so...
Because that first shot you played was lovely, but if you stand there and hit 20 of those, you've not really learnt anything.
All right, so that's bog standard bunker technique for me.
Yeah.
That would be right in the middle. All right, so try and play one slightly lower. So initially I'm thinking, thoughts would be, keep the distance from the ball the same, play it slightly back, shut the face a little less.
Yeah.
And just less speed.
Yeah, Brian, let's see it.
That also scares me a bit just because there's not as much bounce and it's likely to dig more. But let's give it a go. So a bit further back, slightly less bounce. I'm trying to land this almost like in between the start of the green and the pin.
Yep.
That's just such a technique.
I just got a bit diggy.
It's so diggy, isn't it?
But you picturing that as a nippy, but I say that's diggy, but then if we're playing the course where there's hardly any sand, suddenly that diggy, these bunkers are actually really good, suddenly that diggy one is like, we need to get that to dig because it's just going to bounce back up, or like just after it's rained and the bunkers are firm and compact, it's like, well, that's the shot you're going to play that technique to almost get the flight you had on the first one. Yeah. Because the sand conditions are changing. And the same with, suddenly if you've got, there's your sort of fluffy one. So, right, they're two totally different scenarios where you're going to change your technique to almost get the same ball flight. Yeah. And different lies if you've got one plugged and another one plugged, So you can play those in two totally different ways to get, like if you're going to the front left, it's like, right, you can tow it in and try and pop it up, or get the heel to dig in.
Yeah.
So toying around with managing different parts of the club.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So if you hit that low one, you hit off that lie.
Yeah.
Where we're starting to replicate less sand in the bunker, firmer conditions, I think you'll get the dig will help you, and you'll probably produce something similar to the first bunker shot.
Okay. Try it. Yeah.
That went under it quite nice.
Yeah.
But I would toy, like when you dig your feet in, it's a bit hard there because we're trying to replicate lies, but like, do you look at, do you use your feet?
I do, yeah. But then
how far down and like the texture of the sand?
I do, yeah. But then I'll use that as not as a basis for, right, which shot shall I play? I'll use that as a basis for, right, do I really need to feel like I'm fanning this face open in order to not get the club digging too much? That's as far as it will go. So the creativity is sort of, well, it's down here, isn't it?
Yeah, so you effectively add speed or lower speed for how far you want the ball to carry, and that's...
Or change club, yeah.
Yeah.
I change club a lot, actually.
And would you...
Like from 58 to 53 in the bunkers.
And how far behind you hit the ball? See, I hardly ever use anything bar lobby out of a bunker, but I bar the heavier sand, I might use my 54, more banks.
Yeah.
Getting easy.
I tend to use quite a lot of speed, and I don't strike it very near the ball at all.
That's like your safety net.
Because it's a safety net, probably, which is just a silly way of going about it. But that's probably just me sort of managing in my own way.
Yeah.
My bunker play.
I wonder if you were toying around. So don't worry if you thin it, bar that bloke on the putting green. But try and have a clear goal before. Be like, right, I'll go to this left-hand one, this right-hand one in case we catch one. I'll try and hit this. For me, it's like super heavy. Right, that was super heavy, but it bounced up into the sand, into the ball, because the sand's quite firm.
Yeah.
And produced a shot that's gone too far.
Okay.
So I was like, it wasn't my technique, it's more my choice of shot. If I've got the skill to vary where I enter the sand.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you went a bit more, what feels a stock. So the same thing again, the club bounced up too much into the sand. So I would have to hit it closer to the ball to stop. Like I've learnt through all those two shots. So I need to get my entry point closer to the ball, just stop it bouncing up.
Yeah.
Because I feel this is quite firm for me. Your standard technique might suit another bunker to. So you're always learning with each shot you hit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then I'd be right. I need a little bit less speed and strike a little bit closer to the ball.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
It's probably not even on camera.
Probably not even in the frame, nah.
But like,
that went in.
I learned through those three shots, rather than saying my technique, I learned how to adapt. Like I never try and hit a bunker shot really fat.
Yeah.
But that first one I did, and it was awful. And then my normal technique didn't suit this sand, so I changed my technique and speed to suit the sand, if that makes sense. Whereas I think you don't practice enough variation to learn, have a clear goal. I'm trying to hit this really heavy, like, say if you're hitting a plug lie, how are you hitting that plug lie to like the front pin on the left?
So this would be, so how would I play this one? Plug lie, bit of fluff under there. Yeah,
so you got so it's sort of semi-plug, but it's fluffy enough. I mean, it's still plugged, but it's fluffy that it's not. You're not plugged in that.
Yeah.
Well,
there's obviously a lot of sand in there, so a lot of sand is going to come up. So I'm going to try and get this pop in by moving quite a bit of sand, getting the face open.
Yeah.
Getting steep on it, and just trying to pop it upwards as much as possible on that blanket of sand. So getting the face open, leaning forward, and just getting really steep.
Right, so you played that lovely. What would you change playing that shot to that flag? Oh, I'll put you on the flat stuff because that's a bit steep there.
Yeah, if we go into frame as well, that camera.
I'll give you this. now you're plugged, not as plugged, but you're on the firmer sand with less sand under the ball. What are you going to change?
Jesus.
In your sort of setup or technique? Because like there, I think you're quite confident.
Honestly, I don't really know exactly how I'm going to go about playing this.
So I think there you're like, well, I can hit this sand quite hard. It's not going to go very far.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas to me, it's like the first thing I've hit is I need to less speed. So I'm going to hit the sand firm. The club's going to accelerate. Like when I hit those bunker shots a minute ago.
Yeah.
When I hit it fat, the club accelerated through. The ball went too far. Here, I know I need to take speed off of it.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, right, I don't need to get much club head speed. I'll try and lean forward, use like the sharpest bit, because I need that to cut into the sand, which is sort of the hosel.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have the face so open. And I've got to try and create getting this club under the ball now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to hit down quite hard and reasonably close to the ball.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to hit the sand hard, if that makes sense. So you can almost hit a very soft. That didn't quite go far enough. It's not actually quite as firm.
Nah, that's still slightly softer than you thought it was, right?
Yeah. I would hit trying to lean it forward because the ball will pop up. If I just blasted it, the ball's not going to pop up very high.
Yeah. Yeah, that pops.
But still quite soft in there. But that's why in your practice, toying around with asking yourself questions and finding the answers. Because yeah, if you were back here, where it's rock hard, where you'll be at the shot, it's like you're blasting it, won't work very well there.
Yeah.
That's where you'll have to get a bit more creative. But if you just stood here in 20 bunker shots,
well, let's just try. Yeah,
I'm not saying you'll play it, you won't play it well.
Right, so I'm just going to try and play it the way you described it.
Well, that's how I would see it. It's much more how those shots were. The flight's up. I feel I've got... Here you need more control than the fluffy plugged. I'm going to blast it.
So slightly open, just trying to get that heel in and just get it digging underneath like that.
Yeah, yeah. And the club should accelerate off the sand where it's a bit firmer. Nice that. I would maybe open it up a hair more.
Okay. Like there.
Yeah. Right, so what did you learn? Because I would say that was softer than you and I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd be, if it's softer, then I can open the face more to add more banks.
Yeah.
The easy option is say you're trying something different or you played those shit.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a practice round and you're misjudging the textures, then you need to adapt your technique. So instantly I'd be like, right, open it up a bit more, use a bit more banks, as opposed to blast the thing harder to figure out ways to get the club sliding through quicker.
Yep. Right then, so because we've learned that it's slightly softer, we can open the face up a bit more, add a bit more speed.
That's opening the face up, adding more banks will basically make the club slide through the sand quicker.
Yeah.
It'll make it like you're hitting off a firmer surface underneath, so we don't need so much more speed.
Okay.
But that's how you start learning where to gauge. Is it speed, is it club? By toying around, hitting different shots. Trying, some things might go terribly wrong, you're like, that doesn't work. But you can't play with just having the one standard splash shot.
Yeah.
Either the bunker's good or it's crap.
Yeah, yeah.
And either it's a good shot or it's a bad shot. You need to like develop your golfing IQ.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then gauge back like the choices you made and what you're changing. Like, was it the right choice? Was it the wrong choice? Say there, out of there, I misjudged the lie.
Yeah.
And through that I made the wrong decisions and I left 2 shots short. But that's what you want to toy around with in your skill set and your practice.
Okay.
And the same with trying to hit like longer shots with, say I now know through, if that back pin's 25 yards, through that shot I hit there earlier where I bottomed out earlier and the club bounced, I know I can hit the sand a long way behind this ball and get it to that back flag.
Yeah.
Whereas if I didn't learn that earlier, I think I've got to hit this really hard to hit a 25-yard bunker shot. Whereas this 25-yard bunker shot becomes a lot of room for error with hitting it behind, because I know from that shot the club's going to bounce.
Yeah.
And it's going to skip through quite easily.
Yeah.
So there's so many other factors you can learn just by practicing outside of what you've got to do with your technique.
Yeah.
To go on fire, trying it a few varied flights, and just experiment more. Same with
Okay.
hitting the same bunker shot over and over and over again. Like, isn't really going to improve your technique skill set, because you can improve a lot of that yourself by varying flights. And
yeah. All right, I'll try and play a lower, slightly, I don't know, without adding too much speed, like a lower,
yeah,
skiddy one.
Yeah, because you've got the skill set not to stand there and just think, I've got to blast something.
Yeah.
Here. Like, use the club properly, and it might come out the wrong result, but you'll learn for another shot.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to try and get fairly close to the ball, which is something I don't really do much. Play it sort of centre, not too open.
Right, what would you...
Oh, Jesus. So that to me is just like, face is shutting down, it's getting really diggy and steep. I've probably stood way too close to it.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's getting way too steep.
That's similar... The other
it's exactly the same, yeah.
Where, yeah, you got that one and no room for error. That's where I toy around with standing a bit further back, getting the club shallower for longer.
Yeah.
Especially out of a bunker.
Yeah. It's just like an instinct for me. When I go lower, I think, oh, I have to stand closer.
As that comes down, you want to get closer.
But it's not. All right.
That's good.
It's just a tiny, yeah, it's a bit nippier.
Hairpin.
I'm just probably, yeah, it's just a tiny bit close to the ball. And I'm not used to getting near that ball. I don't really know, my touch isn't there for, if I strike it near.
For you, I think it's almost like your practice more than your technique is varying, giving yourself challenges in practice, trying different shots, toying with different things. What works out of this sound, what doesn't work, what works off that lie, what creates more of a higher shot, a lower shot, and have a goal with each shot you play. So go on, now try and hit one, like, sort of hit some adding spin, taking spin off.
Okay.
High and loopy, but have a clear goal with what you're trying to hit before you hit it.
Okay. Right, so this is tight-ish, I guess, isn't it? But there's a bit of sand under it. I'm going to try and play like a high spinny one to that back flag by getting the face open, getting fairly steep, but trying to get fairly close to the ball.
Yeah.
And just try and picture like a high cut.
Yeah, I almost think in a bunker, you can't stand far enough away from it. You know, the further away you go, the lower you're going to go, the lower your hands get, the more left-sided.
The shallower.
Everything's going to be shallower. The closer you go, it's like that, you know, that club's going to be working so much more in a U shape. It's going to be steep to shallow to up again. Whereas we want to get that with the wrists, but if we get lower, we'll get that club sort of tracking through the sand a lot longer, giving you a bigger room for error for shot selection, but also a bigger room for error if you get it wrong slightly. Than this sort of up and like how I played the plug bunker shots, a bit like how you play some of your normal bunker shots. Where it's steep, I'm going to blast a puff of sand and hope for the best. That was nice. Because that felt like that club moved through that sand for a long time.
Yeah.
But you had a big margin for error.
And that's just me sort of picturing a high cut and figuring out.
That's where you got to use your imagination to suit different scenarios.
Yeah.
If your technique was terrible, you'd have to do a lot of technique work. But your technique's quite good. It's just you limit yourself a lot with picking faults and, like saying a bunker, sand. It's like, well, you probably selected the wrong shot and the wrong choices that ended up in a bad result.
All right, just one more thing. So the shot I struggle with the most is the shot I alluded to at the start, that thick, where the sand's really soft but really deep.
Yeah.
Right, so if you could just give me a way of playing that shot when it gets super fluffy So we almost like just put this up like this, so we know it's proper fluffy, and the ball, because you get this a lot in English bunkers.
Yeah, especially
where they just dump a load of sand in there, and it's not really compact at all. So this is like, I feel like a good one for people watching this as well.
It's quite,
because at the moment it's just, I'm like, how.
Well, you're never going to bottom out here, so like the club's going to struggle to always want to come back up out the sand, because we're not ever going to get to the firm compact base. I mean, this is quite an extreme lie, so this could go terribly wrong. But that's where you want to get the club face more open, get more banks. I'd maybe think about using a 54 here.
Okay.
Where I've got more banks on it to start with. I'll have to open it up more. But you want to try and get shallow, so you've got like a longer lower point. If I get steep on this, if it's really compact and I get steep, the club will want to bounce back up quite easily.
Yeah.
Whereas here, because it's never going to want to bounce back up, I'd want to try and get quite shallow.
Okay.
And get like a long, thin divot, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Using what?
I've got a lob wedge here, but I'll open it up more than normal.
Okay.
And get the hands even lower. If I went super low, that club's going to track low for a long time, and my low point will last a lot longer and be quite shallow.
Okay.
As opposed to stood up, where it's more of a V.
Yeah.
So I'll lower my hands, get a little bit lower, and try and get right under it and duff it. But that would be my tip, so that's quite extreme there. But
well, it is extreme, yeah, and that's why
I probably would play at 54.
Okay.
A bit more banks.
All right, let's try that then, because that's what I want, the most realistic scenario.
Yeah.
Like, cause this is literally what I do on a golf course.
If it's really fluffy, I'd probably go 54 and go through the same.
Right. So you're thinking, long way away from it, handle down.
Yeah.
Keep
let's
the face.
Try and get that.
Keep it real wide
to the sky.
And then just try and. So if I feel like I'm just trying to hit like a smothery draw.
Yeah. A lot more drawy. Because we've created it, it won't be quite the same as like they've added more sand, if that makes sense. Like this is a proper full slice, so don't beat yourself up. And I'll probably add more speed.
Okay.
The likelihood is it's going to come out duffy and short.
So I'll go to that back left. And it's dog, but I've got away with it.
Sliding. But like, that's half the battle, it's just getting the club, keep the club moving.
Yeah. I did feel that in my forearm, I'm not going to lie.
Huh?
I did feel that in my forearm, I'm not going to lie.
Nice. If I was going to the back flag, I might even go with like a 9-iron.
What, on the same type of...
Yeah.
So if I hit that with a 48 then?
Yeah. Like I would do on a 50-yard bunker shot.
Okay.
This would be a pure duff and run.
Right, so face real wide, hands low, stand your distance, bit of a smothery draw, trying to be...
like it's whipping round the corner.
Trying to be shallow. And then just catch the ball.
Come back, let's go your wedge.
Look at this spin though, right, 48. Yeah, all right.
If you've got a lot of sand, I would go less loft and open it up more.
Okay. And then just try and...
Say my 50 would play like a 56 when the sand's heavy.
Yeah.
You need to bounce to get the club keep moving through the sand. That's nice.
Yeah. So that one I didn't try to feel
much more
that one
rounded.
Yeah.
As you get less sand, it's like, right, I can... Because the idea is to try and always get the club to act the same through all the different sands.
Yeah.
Like this firm and compact, you know, we can lean it forward a little bit more, get a bit steeper, because the club's going to want to accelerate. The hard bit when there's no sand is getting the club under the sand. Mm-hmm. The hard bit when there's loads of sand is almost getting the club out the sand. That's nice.
Yeah.
That sort of longer, wider, especially those hands lower.
Yeah.
You know, the lower you get the hands, it's almost like the longer the club's going to stay parallel to the ground.
Okay.
The more vertical we get, the quicker it's going to go up, down, and back up again.
All right.
Which that's the winter washed out bunker is.
Yeah.
Try and get steep. And
right. Well, I'm going to try not to be such a prima donna then.
No, man up.
Bunker.
Man up.
But no, that's decent, mate. It's just Yeah, having a bit of an experiment with different lies, different scenarios, and then different techniques, and it's just trying to work
But
it.
always having that clear goal, what shot you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
If you don't hit it, it doesn't matter. You'll still learn for another type of shot, style of sand, or different conditions.
All right.
Right. Cheers.
Appreciate it, mate. I'm gonna try and take you out on the golf course now with my new acquired bunker skill. Oh.